Demon Energy D1NZ, brought to you by TBC Performance Wheels, The Rock FM, Link ECU, High Tech Oils and Club Auto Insurance.
Welcome to the show. It's the Demon Energy D1NZ National Drifting Championship Series. 6 rounds across New Zealand, thousands of tyres up in smoke, but there can be only one Drift King.
That's right, Kenny. It's time for the grand final at Pukekohe Park Raceway. We've got all the highlights from our annual visit to one of the fastest competition drift circuits in the world.
If the infamous Turn 1 sweeper at Pukekohe wasn't notorious enough in the motorsport landscape, D1NZ cranks it up to 11 and sends some of the best drifters in the Southern Hemisphere down the concrete line course at over 200 kilometres an hour.
First, it's time to recap the championship title fight. It's been a long road of competition to get to the grand final, but it all began at round 1 in fielding.
Manfield Raceway again playing host to the season opener, the fast-flowing 3rd and 4th gear section delivering all the drama as defending champion Darren Kelly and the High Tech Oils R34 Skyline suffered a steering failure. Cole Armstrong and the V Energy 250 GT going through to take 3rd place on the podium.
The first final of the season would see 2 former champions going head-to-head. It was a Ford versus Holden, Skyline versus Commodore. But the victory would go to Fagger Dan Woolhouse in the Century Batteries Holden, his first ever win at Manfield despite 12 years of competitive drifting.
Round 2 brought the sideways smoke show to ASB Bay Park Arena in Tauranga. The stadium-style course serving up another fantastic event with a bumper crowd in force.
American international Ryan Turk joined the driver lineup, and it was action aplenty with the concrete walls showing no mercy.
Armstrong and Whitaker both knocked out early, and round 1 winner Fagger Dan hitting the wall hard, sending Tom Marshall in the Evergreen Tyres S15 through to his first ever pro-class podium finish.
The final matchup of the only night event of the season saw Turbo pilots Dayton Templeman and Nico Reed battling for the win. The NAC E46 BMW unable to stop the Evergreen Tyres Nissan S15 Sylvia. Nico Reed grabbing his first ever victory in the Pro Championship with plenty of supporters on hand to celebrate.
The championship race would take a dramatic turn at round 3 of the season. Nico Reed being handed a series points penalty for a technicality during scrutineering. A huge shake-up to the points table was looming.
Round 3 brought us to Bruce McLaren Motorsport Park in Taupo. Another big-name international joined the lineup in the form of Japanese-based world #1, Daigo Saito.
Saito behind the wheel of the Toyota's Galore GT86. The man to beat him, though, was none other than Nico Reed in the Evergreen S15, setting up an attack for the finals. More controversy unfolded with Fagger Dan and Drew Donovan coming together hard during their scrap in the top 16.
Cole Armstrong would bounce back from Bay Park and find himself back in the title hunt. Another victory over defending Drift King Darren Kelly.
Cole and the V Energy 250 GT Skyline will progress through to the finals. Nico Reed putting on a hard charge in the lead, fending off an aggressive chase run from Armstrong. It was an action-packed final complete with flames to finish off the weekend. Nico Reed grabbing a back-to-back victory.
Round 4 brought us to the Northern Waikato at Hampton Downs Motorsport Park. The title race shaking up with Nico Reed's penalty coming into effect.
This opened the door for the likes of former champ Kurt Whitaker and the Autosure R34 to line up another title attack. Consistent results in qualifying, keeping him in the running for the championship.
Unfazed by the politics in the background, the young gun from South Auckland, Nico Reed, had his sights set on 3 wins in a row.
Despite a mechanical failure in the left rear up against Bruce Tannock, the NRD Drift team had the car back in action for the final. Who else but former circuit racer Dayton Templeman lining up to battle once again.
It was a repeat of round 2 at Bay Park. Dayton Templeman coming back into the title race, but Nico Reed proved to be unstoppable, taking 3 round wins in a row and another big chunk of valuable points.
The penultimate round of the season saw the new track layout at Mike Pero Motorsport Park in Christchurch, an unfamiliar technical course shaking up the championship title race once again.
Fagger Dan's championship hopes would end in a dust storm up against Brad Smith, while the other title contenders Kurt Whitaker and Dayton Templeman battled it out in early stages. Whitaker in the Autosure R34 Skyline bringing consistent chase runs to push through into the final.
taking 3 round wins in a row wasn't enough to rewrite the history books. Nico Reed continued an unstoppable run into the finals. Lining up against Kurt Whitaker, it went OMT, but Whitaker would cause contact on entry in the final lap of the weekend. Nico Reed taking a huge 4th round victory in a row.
This would put Nico back up the top of the points table with Kurt Whitaker and Dayton Templeman looking to make a final attack for the title. Well, who's it going to be as we head to the leaderboard?
Nico Reed topping the table, a bit of a buffer to Kurt Whitaker. Dayton Templeman in 3rd, Dan Woolhouse in 4th, Dave Steedman rounding out the top 5. Stick around, we head into highlights from Pukekohe right after the break.
Welcome back to the D1NZ D1NZ Drifting Championship Grand Final. Highlights from the action at Pukekohe Park Raceway, one of the fastest drifting circuits in the world.
It was another huge turnout, over 10,000 fans coming through the gates to see some of the best drifting this side of the globe.
It's fast, it's dangerous, requires plenty of skill behind the wheel. We talked to some of the drivers about what makes Pukekohe an adrenaline-fueled ride.
It's fast and scary, so it's a good track though, it's good fun, but you get some pretty big bumps through the middle of it, and if you're not online, it's going to push you off pretty quick.
I'll be honest, it's a little bit scary. I've been drifting since 2006, and I don't think we ever used to go anywhere near this fast, and I can only probably put it down to these semi-slicks that we all run now and trying to take grip out. But it'll be interesting tomorrow, battles. If we end up behind a slow car, it's going to make things difficult for sure.
Yeah, I did last year, but the rain was horrible, and it's definitely a lot more fun in the dry. The nerves get a bit higher in the dry as well. It's a lot faster.
Yeah, it's definitely get your heart racing, man, and you know, you got to bring your man coins here, and with that big entry, you know, you just got to have faith and just tip it in and hold on.
Where you're entering, you can't really see the whole way around the corner, and just basically throwing the car in as quick as you can be a bit frightening, but it's good fun though. I love the track, especially in the dry today. You know, last year we had the rain, but yeah, in the dry it's good fun.
We had a big off yesterday at 198 k's. We were clicked on the GPS. It's one of those things, man. We'll just go around it. Battles tomorrow. Looks like it's going to piss down, so hopefully I don't put it in the wall like last year, and we have a bit of fun and end the season on a high.
Yeah, the cool thing being back at Pukekohe is just with the speed, you know, and we've had 2 really nice days so far, but unfortunately it's starting to cloud over and looks like it's going to rain tomorrow, so hopefully it stays fine and we're able to keep the speed and put on some good battles, but it's just nice to be back home, you know, back home in Pukekohe and trying to put on a good show.
The track's just been gripping up all day long. There's been more rubber going down. It's been getting hotter and hotter and hotter. So everyone's been trying to run with the track. You know, they've been trying to change their setups. They're all taking the wings off. They're all pumping the tyres up. So come qualifying and it kind of clouded over. So it's cooled down a bit.
Qualifying time.
Well, as you heard from the drivers, it was all eyes on the sky to see what the weather would bring during the main competition, but it was a dry track for qualifying, plenty of speed and plenty of smoke.
The man leading the championship, Nico Reed, in the Evergreen tyres, Nissan S15, qualifying in 12th position.
Yeah, definitely pumped, and you know, it's tomorrow that counts, and there's plenty more room for error. I'm prepared to crash, so let's get it on.
Australian international Michael Prosnick returned to New Zealand after competing in Thailand. The SCR supercharged V8 S13 would set the top speed for the weekend at 202 kilometres an hour during practice, backing it up with another fast run in 10th place.
I had a bit of a moment there on the last qualifying run. I think it was a 169 straight into the grass. Track changes so much from this morning. The temperature caught me out a little bit. Fast track, have to go hard. That's what we're here for.
With a qualifying record of 199 kilometres an hour, competing in his first Pro Class season, Dylan Woolhouse in the NZKW C35 Laurel was another of the supercharged V8s to feature in the top 10, the big 4-door qualifying in 9th.
Sitting third in the championship, Dane Templeman put the 2JZ-powered NAC Insurance E46 BMW into 8th place.
Defending champion Darren Kelly had nothing to lose at Pukekohe with a tough season behind him. The high-tech Oils R34 Skyline sliding into 7th, one of the many drivers to remove their rear wing with increased grip out on track.
Colt Armstrong fell away from the title hunt after round 5 with mechanical issues, parking up the 250 GT. Bouncing back at Pukekohe though, the V-Energy driver qualified in 6th place.
Always smiling, little Stewie Baker in the Privateer 1.5 JZ S13 had a standout run qualifying in 5th place. Another driver finishing up his first ever season in the pro class.
Fourth place would go to Dave Steedman in the Mimico Ryco 24/7 Nissan S14, the RB30's the best of the turbos at Pukekohe.
Another straight 6 turbo in the mix was Joe Marshall in the Evergreen Tyres 180SX. Another good result for the ATJ Drift team.
The championship title race was up in the air in the early stages of qualifying, with Kurt Whitaker being bumped by Nico Reed, but with another pass left up his sleeve, Kurt Whitaker laid it all on the line, putting the Autoshore R34 Skyline into 2nd place.
We were a little bit safe in our first run. I think we did like a 77 and fairly slow speed, so it wasn't ideal. I think it put us in 7th. And then, yeah, basically my old boy told me to pick it up and you know, drive like we want to be number 1, and yeah, we went in there at, I think it was 198 Ks, and we managed to pull an 86.
While the title fight was happening behind him, Dan Woolhouse had nothing to lose in the Century Batteries Holden. The V8 pilot stepped into the older VZ chassis after suffering a broken gearbox in the VE Commodore during practice.
Whangadan taking the best line of the weekend to set a 92.5 and pole position for the grand final.
So we've blown a gearbox this morning, and we had this car, our old car, sitting over in display for tomorrow, and just happened just in time for qualifying to start. So I went out and only did 2 laps in it and felt pretty good. So yeah, bring on the battles.
So it was Woolhouse taking top qualifier in the older car, but look at the championship title fight. Kurt Whitaker in 2nd place, a huge gap to Nico Reed, outside the top 10 in 12th place. It's going to be a showdown in the battles.
Stick around, top 32 highlights coming up after the break. Welcome back, you're watching the Demon Energy D1NZ Drifting Championship Series. It's time now to take a look at the Pro Sport Restricted class. It's round 5 of their series from Pukekohe Park Raceway.
Recapping the season, round 1 of the Pro Sport Series kicked off at Manfield Raceway in fielding. Series rookie Blair Gribble Bowring would quickly make a name for himself, taking victory over series regular Calvin Clark. The title race off to a good start with Chad McKenzie in 3rd place.
Round 2 was in the concrete jungle at Bay Park. Chad McKenzie would find himself in the final, but an elusive first victory in the Pro Sport class would be thrown away with a spin. Hometown hero Vincent Hopkins grabbing a first-time win in the R32 Skyline.
Round 3 finally saw victory for Chad McKenzie, who battled another series rookie Cody Pullenbury in the K-Spec S15. The 2JZ Skyline of McKenzie lining up a title shot.
The man who pushed McKenzie all year was Calvin Clark in the Prime Avocado C33 Laurel. Calvin couldn't get the win over McKenzie, who again stood on top of the podium with another victory. The championship being wrapped up with 1 round to spare, McKenzie taking a mathematical points victory heading into the grand final at Pukekohe.
Well, we talked about the rain making Pukekohe a challenge, and unfortunately all the work by the teams in pit lane setting up the cars for a dry track was washed away. The Pro Sport semi-finals playing out on a wet track, Gargan Singh taking victory over the hard-charging MX-5 of Kieran Stewart, who took a spin during the chase.
Just over 100 horsepower in the little MX-5, proving it's not all about the power in this game. Gargan Singh, though, putting his RB30 powered Skyline into his first ever final.
Semi-final number 2 went to championship winner-elect Chad McKenzie and round 2 winner Vincent Hopkins. Hopkins bouncing back from a crash in the earlier stages to make the top 4.
Unfortunately for Hopkins, it would be a spin in the first pass with advantage to McKenzie. In the second pass, it was Hopkins putting on a very fast entry in the wet, an awesome wide line, but couldn't make it stick. Heading off into the grass, McKenzie taking a win into the final.
This put Hopkins into the battle for third and fourth up against Kieran Stewart in the little Mazda MX-5. Kieran had the advantage in the bag with Hopkins spinning out on the chase run, but it would be thrown away with Kieran taking a spin himself at the S's.
In the second pass, it would be another wet and wild attack on the sweeper from both drivers. Vincent Hopkins, though, would take the victory after avoiding an inside line from Kieran Stewart. The Nissan R32 Skyline taking third place for the weekend.
The final battle of the season for the Pro Sport Series was a classic matchup of Skyline versus Skyline, 2JZ versus RB30, Chad McKenzie leading out Gargan Singh.
You can certainly see the difference in track conditions. A dry Pukekohe would see the smoke applied, but the wet sees nothing but a skating rink out there for these drivers.
Yeah, it's not so much about smoke on these conditions, it is more about the rooster tail for the photographers out there, but second pass.
Well, it was a fair battle from both drivers, but it all came down to what Chad McKenzie would do in the chase. Chad McKenzie coming in ultra hot, contact calls with Gargan Singh. This would upset the lead car and hand him the advantage. Gargan Singh taking out the round win.
Well, it was celebrations all round as Chad McKenzie took out the D1NZ Pro Sport Series title for the weekend, even dropping a knee to top off the victory. Chad McKenzie, you finally get to put both hands on that trophy.
Yeah, it feels very good. A lot of hard work's gone in to get this thing. So next year we're hoping to get some decent sponsors on board, and we want to come and throw down with the pro guys and see what we can really do in that car. But yeah, just stoked. And my girlfriend said yes to her proposal, my proposal.
Big party tonight then.
Yeah, man, it'll be a pretty big party, all right. So yeah, no, thanks guys, and thanks D1NZ for giving me this opportunity. It's been great.
So Chad McKenzie finally gets his hands on the championship trophy with Calvin Clark in second, Vincent Hopkins in third, with Cody Pullenburry taking out Rookie of the Year.
Well, despite the rain, it was a big crowd packing out the stands at Pukekohe to watch the grand final unfold. It's time now to check out the highlights from round 6, the title fight for the D1NZ Pro Championship. Who will be the next Drift King?
Dylan Woodhouse in the NZKW C35 Laurel had an easy victory into the top 32, going up against Bruce Tannock, who stepped into Calvin Clark's Pro Sports C33 Laurel after mechanical dramas in his own car during practice.
Top 32 highlights action out on track at the moment. Brad Smith and Tom Marshall would spice things up on track with 0 scores from both drivers, forcing an OMT. Unfortunately for Brad, it would be 4 spins in 4 laps, with Tom Marshall taking an easy victory in the Evergreen Tyres Nissan S15.
One of the fastest drifting circuits in the world.
Privateer Vincent Langhorne was one of the standout drivers at Pukekohe last year, and he aimed to serve it up again in his battle with Drew Donovan. Unfortunately though, a committed entry couldn't come together with a spin on the lead run. The Milwaukee Tools V8 Sylvia of Donny D taking victory into the top 16.
You can certainly see the difference in track condition here at Pukekohe Raceway. Well, the big battle of the top 32 had fans watching in anticipation, but it was a wet and scrappy run from both drivers. Championship leader Nico Reed leading out Gaz Grove in the CMP Construction S15. V8 versus Turbo, but the advantage would go in favour of Gaz Grove with an aggressive chase run on the wide line the judges asked for.
Well, in the second pass, it was championship drama unfolding as Gaz Grove put on a gap to Nico Reed. The Evergreen Tyres Nissan S15 also struggling with front bumper damage. Well, unfortunately for championship leader Nico Reed, he'd be knocked out early by Gaz Grove, a huge blow to his points into the final round.
Yeah, you can see Nico just struggling with the front bumper off the car, as well as damage there for Gaz Grove, but that's a huge blow to the championship, especially coming into the top 16 on next week's show.
Adam Davies in the Mimico 13B powered 180SX took a spin in his battle against Adam Hedges in the CS Garage Nissan S14. Hedges in his SR20 through to the top 16.
The wet conditions proving to be difficult for many drivers still trying to enter the Pukekohe sweeper at over 160 kilometres an hour. Jaron Olivkrona getting crossed up in the chase against Australian Michael Prosnick. Prosnick eventually coming through with the victory and with a win through into the top 16.
but Posnick's one of those drivers who doesn't hold back no matter what condition.
Shane Allen and Shane Giles gave us another battle of V8 versus Turbo. Shane Allen coming in hot on the wide line that the judges wanted to see, but it didn't translate into the final sector, with the Gulf Western Oil's Ford Falcon spinning out of the chase. The Bytools Online 2JZ-powered Nissan S14 of Shane Giles taking victory.
The final battle of the top 32 was a wild one with a huge save from Ben Wilkinson in the pack and save Botany Downs Nissan S15. The RB30 Nissan going up against Jodie Verhulst and her 2JZ powered Toyota Supra.
With two wheels off in the dirt from Wilkinson, it was Verhulst with the advantage, but a spin from the Milwaukee Tools GT86 Supra would set the score as 0-0 from both drivers, sending the pair to an OMT. One more time battle.
In the end, it was Ben Wilkinson in the RB30 powered pack and save S15 taking the OMT victory, moving through into the top 16.
Both drivers really struggling with the wet conditions here at Pukekohe Park Raceway.
You can see wipers on for both drivers. Wilkinson just twitchy coming through the switch there, but it's a common misconception that, you know, that drifters like the rain. They don't. It's less speed, less smoke, and certainly less control at the right foot. But anyway, this is how the top 16 lines up for next week's show, and that wraps up our coverage this week. Make sure you tune in next week to see the final round of the Pro Championship Top 16 from Pukekohe Park Raceway. Who will be the next Drift King? Will it be Whitaker or will it be Nico Reed?
Thanks for tuning in. For more drifting news, updates, and the latest media, check out D1NZ.com.
Download the Oversteer TV mobile app, free on Google Play.